Greetings tech enthusiasts and welcome back to another video. Today we embark on a fascinating journey into the heart of this Asus ROG G750JM, a gaming powerhouse from back in 2014 with a curious case of unresponsiveness. It's as if Monday hit this laptop particularly hard. Even an external monitor is left in the dark. And the culprit? A corrupted BIOS. Jumping right in, you're going to flip your laptop over, take a flathead screwdriver, lift off the flap covering the screw, and remove all the rubber plugs covering the rest of the screws on the back. They are differently sized, but basically the longer ones go towards the thick side, shorter ones towards the slimmer side, so that's quite easy when you're putting it back together. So you're going to remove all those plugs to reveal the screws. Now you're going to take your Phillips head screwdriver, remove the screw under the flap and lift off the small back cover covering 2 of our 4 sticks of RAM and 2 storage slots for a 2.5-inch drive. Now comes the meticulous part. We're removing the back cover, but pay attention, these screws aren't all the same length or thickness. So we've got the long thick screws hanging out on the chunky end of the laptop. The slimmer side, it gets the shorter ones. This is what it will look like, so make sure to keep track of all your screws, keep them organized, write down on a piece of paper or have like small cups to put them in, keep the sizes together, do not mix them up. We've got this short screw next to the RAM, there you can see it, and a slim but long screw right under there holding the disk drive in, I believe. You can see it's a bit slimmer than the ones on the outer edge. Then we've got these around the SSD area. You see this one's quite long, longer than the other ones. And then some more of the slimmer long screws right here. So you're going to remove all the screws to release the backplate. Now we're removing the screws holding the storage covers. You can see they're short, but I believe they're a bit slimmer than the other ones. So make sure to keep them separate. So there are 3 on each. There's a little tissue wedge in here. I believe it's to like keep the SSD from disconnecting alone or hard drive. So we remove the first one, and for the second one, there we go. Just lift it off, put it aside. Now for the RAM, you're gonna push down and pull outwards on the little clips holding it in and gently pull out to make sure to not damage anything. Do that for both sticks, and our RAM is clear. We do have another 2 sticks in there though. Now for the screws under the battery, you're going to want to remove your battery if there is one that actually works. You're going to remove the 5 screws. They're all the same length and they are short and thick. You're going to remove them, put them aside, and now we can remove the disk drive on the side by just pulling it out. And then under that disk drive are hiding 3 more short screws. You're going to remove them, and these are the last screws on the backplate. So now onto the back of the laptop, making it stand on its nose, you're going to take a small pry tool, wedge it on top of the exhaust vents, and just release the clips to pop off this plastic plate. The cover is finally free, and we can see that there are 2 speakers connected with a wire, so you don't want to yank it off. You're going to gently lift it backwards just like this, and gently disconnect the clip without ripping out any of the cables. So make sure to use at least like 2 hands and not hold the camera with 1 hand. Remove that cable and put that aside. Now you're going to remove the 2 screws that are holding the top plate to the frame. So just these 2 screws. Now you can lift the lid up and start prying with like a prying tool or a credit card, any card. Start with the side where there was the disk drive and work your way all around to release the clips and release the top of the laptop. So right here at the front, we're just gonna wiggle gently, try to not break the clips, and there we go, it should be released. You can see we can lift up and pull off the top, but not that quickly. There are 4 ribbon cables connecting the top to the motherboard. So you're gonna flip up the small latch that connects each ribbon cable and pull out the cable. You're gonna do that for all 4 of them. You wanna be really gentle, because if you ruin one of them, you're gonna have to like buy a whole new top plate assembly. Not even sure that they still supply them since this laptop is that old. So you're gonna release those 4 ribbon cables. Do not break them, because that's gonna be bad. Once the ribbon cables are disconnected, you're gonna lift off the top plate and remove it. Now again, with our flathead screwdriver, you're gonna release your CMOS battery, just like pushing it, and you don't want to drop it on the motherboard, so yeah, be gentle. And you can see right here is our BIOS chip with a little dot of white on it, which indicates pin number 1. And to read the code on it, you're gonna want to use like a flashlight on your phone, look at it at an angle, and you should be able to read the code, which we're gonna use later in the program. Now, you're gonna hold on the power button right there for like at least 30 seconds to make sure all the power is out of the laptop. And now we can remove the rest of the RAM. We have 2 more sticks for 4 total slots on this laptop. So you're just gonna remove them. Now you're gonna remove this connector right here on the bottom, the top left fan connector, the display cable, these 2 small ribbon cables right here. They're kind of difficult to pull out, so be gentle with them and just kind of wiggle them out of there. And finally this other fan connector. So we've disconnected all of these just to prevent like a transfer of extra voltage to other parts, since we want to kind of control where the energy is going. So now, before connecting any of your clips or anything, you're gonna plug in the laptop, it's gonna turn on, you want to hold on to the power button again for like 30 seconds to make sure it's completely powered off, but you want to keep the adapter plugged in. So this is just for this laptop, since other ones don't really require the AC adapter connected, but this one does. So you're gonna take your programmer, your SOIC clip, and you want to make sure the red wire is connected to pin 1. And right here on the programmer, this pin right there that I showed is pin number 1. So you want to line that up onto the programmer just like this. Make sure you have the same orientation. This is the CH341A programmer. Now you're going to take your clip, red wire is pin 1, you want to align that with the dot on the BIOS chip, and you want to clip it on. This took me a lot of tries, maybe like 50 tries or more. You don't want to rip off any of the resistors on that area, so make sure you have proper contact on the pins and keep everything as stable as possible. If you hit your table, the clip might disconnect and you'll have to reconnect it once again. Now, connect your programmer to your computer with USB, download the drivers if you haven't already, all the links will be in the description. You're also going to need a hex editor since we're going to need to modify the BIOS file that we're going to dump. So you're going to install both drivers, all the links will be in the description, bar.cxe and Ser.exe. You're going to open your programmer, I'm using AsProgrammer, and you're going to click on the identify button, the one with the question mark. So here's how the setup looks for now. After clicking on the read ID button, you're going to find a list of BIOS chips. So looking back at the picture that you took, you're going to match to the one that says the code that was on the chip. Mine is the one with FV, and you're going to save that one and select it. Now then, you're going to click on the green button, read IC, and it's going to take probably like 1 minute, and it's going to read the content on the chip, and you're going to save that. Right here on the top left, click on the save icon, and you're going to save this as backup 1. We are going to do 2 backups to ensure that there's a good connection with the clip. If not, you're going to have to reattach the clip once again to try again. So reading once more, we're going to save the second file as backup 2. There we go, backup2.bin, and copy the directory of your folder. In your command line, you're going to cd to that directory, and you're going to do certutil -hashfile, then the name of the file, so backup1.bin md5, and that's going to generate a little code that identifies the file. Now we're going to do the same command for backup2, and you want to compare the two codes. You want to make sure that they are the same. If not, you're going to repeat the process by unclipping the clip and putting it back on. Now then, you're going to open your hex editor and you're going to download the update BIOS firmware from the ASUS website. So you're going to search your model online, go to the drivers tab, BIOS and firmware, and download the latest version. You're going to extract the downloaded BIOS updater, and it's going to be like a hex file. So you're going to open the file that you downloaded on hex editor. So this one right here, open, and you're going to see a bunch of letters and numbers, and you're also going to open the backup file that you made. Doesn't really matter which one, choosing backup one, and you're going to open a new file. What we're going to do is we are going to combine both of them. So here's what you're going to do. On the backup file, you're going to select block by right clicking, start offset at 0 and offset at 1/5fs. You're going to copy that block, copy, and paste it into your new empty file. So just like that. There we go, we can see all the hex code. Then you're going to go to your update file, right click, select block, and start offset starts at 800 and end offset you want to put 607FF. Click OK. You're going to copy that and paste it at the end of your new file. So you're going to see on the screen basically what you need to do. Your reconstructed image is backup 1 from 0 to 1FFFFF plus the update file from 800 to 607FF. So you're going to save your created file as BIOS flash or whatever name you want, and make sure to save it. Then you're going to close out of your hex editor to avoid like any modifications while flashing. You want to make sure that your file size is exactly 8 megabytes. So as you can see on the screen, it is. Now then, in your programmer, you're going to open your BIOS flash file that you just made in the hex editor. Then under this list on program IC, you're going to click on the unprotect verify button. You're going to click accept, continue, OK. And this process might take like 5 minutes, so make sure to wait. Do not slam your table, do not disconnect anything. And once that's done, you're going to read the IC once again, just to verify that everything was correct. So after reading the BIOS chip, you're going to save it as afterflash.bin or whatever name you want. I'm naming it as afterflash so I can identify it. Then back to the command line, go back to the same folder with cd. You're going to do certutil -hashfile afterflash.bin md5, and then the file that you flashed, which for us is biosflash.bin. You're going to compare both codes. If they are the same, you succeeded, your BIOS is successfully flashed. Well, hopefully. That's what we're going to verify right now. So, you want to gently disconnect your programmer from your laptop or computer. So just gently wiggle it and pull it out. Then, you want to disconnect the AC cable, the AC charger adapter before removing the clip, unlike what I did. But it's whatever, it doesn't really matter. But just to be safe, remove the charger first, then remove the clip, and you want to hold on the power button for like another 30 seconds to make sure everything is discharged before putting the laptop back together. So you're gonna put back in the fan connector just the same way you put it in. These two ribbon cables, put them in and make sure to close the latch to make sure that there's an actual connection. Reconnect the display cable. Make sure to press down. Now the other fan connector and this last connector right here. Then you're going to put back your RAM sticks, just slide them into the slot, match the lines with the hole. Put back in your CMOS battery, just like that. And before we close everything up, I'm just going to test to make sure that the BIOS is properly loaded in. So you can plug in your charger and it should turn on automatically. So just wait and hope that something displays on the screen. So just making sure everything's connected, and we saw there the logo flashed for a second and we're into the BIOS. So we successfully revived the laptop. Well, we kind of need to put it back together now. Make sure to completely power off the laptop once again. Hold the power button for like 30 seconds. So it's the same steps but in reverse. You're going to take your top plate, put it back in, slide it under the monitor. And this part is kind of tricky. You're going to make sure all the flaps are lifted up and insert each ribbon cable. Then make sure the latch is put back down to avoid a disconnection. So you're going to do that for each of the 4 ribbon cables, and be gentle. They're really fragile. If you break one, it's not going to be a good day. So this one's giving me a bit of trouble, but I do finally get it in. Now for the last one, it's in. We can let the lid down and make sure the clips connect. So you're going to press down on the front, on the sides, on the back. Make sure the clips all connect. So just press down everywhere and make sure everything sits flush. Now you can close the lid and put back in the screws that hold the top plate to the frame. So the one on the right, you can't really see what I'm doing, but it's the same thing as in the disassembly process. Now for the left one. Now for the speakers on this top plate, we're going to put the connector back in gently. Make sure it's the correct orientation. You don't want to bend any of the pins. So once it's in, just like that, you're gonna flip the cover back on and just press down. Make sure all the clips are clipped in. Just like that, from right to left or left to right, doesn't really matter. Now we're gonna put back in the RAM sticks on the back. Start with the lower one, of course, not the upper one, so that you can actually put both of them in. So you're gonna put in both your RAM sticks, or if you don't have any, just leave that. Now your long screw goes right here on this screw hole. You're gonna screw that in first, just to not kind of like accidentally poke the long screw somewhere else where it shouldn't be. And just put back in as many screws as you can. So for these storage covers, I'm putting back the tissue where it was, since this is not my laptop. I'm just doing a reparation. So we're putting the screws of the storage covers back in. There are 3 for each. Just like that. Now the screws under the battery, which this laptop doesn't currently have. I suppose it's because it completely died. So let's put those 5 screws back in. Now the screws under the disk drive. Now you can put your disk drive back in before securing the screw that holds it in place, which is the one right here. Make sure you use the correct length, because there are some components under the screw hole that you could damage. Now this screw right here, next to the RAM. this kind of skinny one on the side of the storage compartments. And now for the exterior screws, the thicker, longer ones, we're gonna put them back in. Now the short ones towards the front. And that should be all the screws. We can get back to putting the rubber plugs back on. So the short ones go on the short, slimmer side. Make sure to orient them correctly. Do not have bits of rubber sticking out. Now the longest one actually goes here right in the middle. It's kind of hard to get in, so we'll get back to that later. There we go, it's in. Now the small plastic cover, you're gonna slide in this side first, since there are small protrusions to hold it in place. And you're gonna press down. Be gentle, don't break everything. And we're gonna screw in the screw under this flap. And that should be the last screw on this laptop that we're gonna put. There we go, make sure it's well seated. We can flip the laptop back over and make a final test to make sure it actually works. So you're gonna plug in your AC adapter, click on the power button. There we go, our logo flashed, and it said to insert a bootable device since there's no actual storage on this laptop. But hitting the F2 button rapidly while hitting the power button, we can see we are in version 207 of the BIOS. The keyboard seems to work since we can move around. So there you have it, guys. We've successfully resurrected this Asus ROG G750JM. We fixed the corrupted BIOS. It's actually working now, and I hope you fix your problem as well. So if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth tech guides, hit the like button if you liked, and make sure to leave comments if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next time.